Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts,
Dr. LaFonya Jones,
Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is down to earth, informative, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up the volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 17. Who you talking to?
Me. All right, interns, get out your pen and your paper. This week, we're going to talk about fair fighting, which is a way to manage conflict and emotions, but it does require a set of skills.
You know, it's always interesting to me that we have so many clients that come in and they don't communicate effectively. And it's always because they really want their way to be what their partner or their friend or whoever they're arguing with chooses. And the reality is that's just not going to happen. You're going to have to figure out like a way to talk to each other and both of y'all get y'all's points across.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult for people to do that because it's hard especially when you're having difficult conversations, it's hard for people to remain calm because, again, people don't tend to know how to argue. So people's character is attacked. You are being belittled. And so it's hard to remain calm. And so, both or one end up overreacting.
Yeah. Well, and we forget that defense is a natural response. It is innate in us that if we feel attacked, I'm going to go on the defensive. It's just like, an animal that's being backed into a corner, they're going to come out swinging and fighting. It's the same thing with words. If I feel like you're backing me into a corner verbally, then I don't see or feel like I have any other alternative other than to, okay, well, if you're trying to hurt me, then I'm really about to come for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, we can cut people with these tongues for real.
That's why I don't like the old saying sticks and stones.
I was just getting ready to say that. Yes.
I hate that. And I say this in my sessions too. I hate that saying because it's like, no. Now, while sticks and stones do hurt.
So do words.
But those are the things that stick. A physical injury will heal over time. And you may have scars or, things and whatnot that are still reminders. But it is easy for our brains to become an echo chamber. So, you say I'm stupid or I'm ugly or whatever it is that somebody is saying for, you think you better than me or whatever. Those words get into your head and then they just echo and, kind of just bounce back. It's almost like ping pong, or like what's that thing was called back in the day where you used to
foosball?
No, the machine.
That's
ping pong ball.
Pong. Yeah.
That's what that arcade game was called?
Yeah.
That's what we going to say it's called.
Well, they would call different things.
Oh, okay. But you know which one I'm talking about, right? But it's like that, it's just that ball's just jumping all over the place. I think we forget that when we're having an argument with a person that they're going to defend themselves.
Yeah. I think another issue is kind of what Dr. Jones was saying is people don't know how to stay calm, but I don't even think it's that. I think it's that people don't know how to properly express their emotions. Like, you don't have to be calm in the midst of this argument, but your response to me, your reaction to me, that needs to still be healthy. Because if you start talking to me crazy, you're not going to get Nene. Like, you're going to get Nichelle. Like, you're going to get a totally different side. And that's not ever going to be okay.
Well, and when I say remain calm, I mean like internally, because when you start becoming angry, we tend to be ready to fight. I'm ready to fight. That's all. And I'm not even talking about physically. I'm talking about with our words.
Yeah.
And like you said, we don't properly express them. So when we properly feel them, we automatically think it's anger.
Yeah. It reminds me of that comedy show with Kevin Hart where he be making his hands go up his face when he get angry, and it's like, oh, like it's hilarious. I wish we had a camera right now because it just, his hands steady going up his head. But that's exactly how you be feeling when you be arguing with people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the more you dig into that person or the more you attack, I guess, because that's typically how people argue, the more you attack, the more the hands go up. The more the hands go up on the meter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true though. And then you highlight stuff that I may already be insecure about.
Oh, gosh.
Because nobody knows your buttons more than somebody that you're intimate with. And when I say intimate, I don't necessarily mean sexual, but somebody that knows you in a way that the average person is not going to know you. They know how to push your buttons quicker and harder than anybody else.
Yes. And y'all, it's more than one type of intimacy. So if you only know sexual, get your life, grow up, come on. Get it together.
Well, and that's one of my ground rules for fair fighting is to not use your partners or friend or whoever their secrets against them as weapons, because that's how you lose trust, and that's how people become more aggressive in their communication when they're trying to fight, and they start lashing back because now you using my secrets or my information that I shared with you as a weapon against me.
That's the quickest way for me to shut down.
Yes.
I'm gonna shut down and I'm walking off. You will not exist to me anymore. And that is just not a good place for me to go when I don't even remember you no more. I can't go there, because then the unhealthy side of me come out. So if I'm ever arguing with somebody like that, I have to constantly talk to myself. Okay, don't yoke them up. Don't choke them. Don't say crazy stuff to them. It's a struggle because I have just say romantic relationships. I've had somebody that talked to me like that probably a couple of years ago. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He local. And it was like sparring every time we had a conversation. I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. You too volatile for me. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not your adversary.
And I'm not your punching bag.
That too. Even more so, probably.
Because you can get these hands.
Girl.
But I think all of this goes back to what we've been saying, just kind of periodically through each or through several different sessions, is that people don't understand feelings. They default to a particular set of feelings and have no idea that, okay, well, what you just said to me, kind of had me throw back to something somebody said to me in the 5th grade. And I'm still kind of, even though I think I'm over it, that still kind of bothered me.
Yep.
But that's how our brains work, and like you said, when we have those insecurities, when we have those experiences through life and we keep having things to validate that insecurity, we start living like that insecurity or living in the insecurity.
Yeah. It's like that framework that I had y'all look at a while back where it talks
and
it kind of talks about the love bank. My old minister in Abilene, Dr. Tony Roach, he has this curriculum that talks about your old self and your new self and how it's formed, and that's along the same lines. If you get hurt at a certain age and then you keep getting hurt in that same way, it creates your framework for you to exist in the world. And if you don't go and correct that, you about to be dysfunctional for the rest of your life until you correct it.
Yeah. And so anytime you have a conversation or an argument or whatever, if somebody push that button, it's on.
Yeah.
It's on and popping.
Oh, yeah. So if we had to say either number one or definitely high up on the list of fair fighting is know what you feel.
Oh, gosh.
Girl, emotional intelligence.
Yes. As we've said before, do your Googles. And pull up a feelings chart.
Yes.
There's no shame in learning something new. We are all ignorant to something. So it's okay to, you know, like, I need some help in this area because I just don't have the background to know all of these different subtle feelings. And, you know, so if you keep defaulting to anger, which is, I don't know why that's the one that everyone seems to run to.
Because it's secondary.
And it seems to be, I'm going to say this, but I know what y'all going to say. It seems to be the more accepted emotion.
I would agree with that.
Oh, I thought y'all was going to disagree. Okay.
No, it is the accepted. It don't mean it's healthy.
Right.
But, you know, we live in a whole dysfunctional world. So,
Yeah. So I think that's why it's more accepted, you know?
And it's probably one of the more visual. So it's the easiest to recognize.
yeah.
And so that's what so make sure not only know your emotions, know how they feel.
In your body.
In your body. Because everything should not feel like anger and everything should not look like anger. If you're hurt, I should know you're hurt. It should not look like you're angry.
If you're embarrassed, because a lot of times when people feel embarrassed, they lash out.
Yeah.
You know, learn your feelings, guys.
It's important. Like, you got to feel them emotionally, and then you need to also feel them physically. Because a lot of people can, like, prime example, they say their stomach hurt when they get anxious. Okay, that's a symptom of your anxiety.
Or their chest hurts.
Yeah, so you should know that that's what's coming on so that you can combat that in a healthy way.
And then be specific in what's bothering you. You know,
That part.
Okay, say it one more time for the people in the back.
Be specific about what is bothering you. You know, that.
Remember when I said, I'm fine?
Are you? Are you really?
Yes. Yes. Those.
It's all right. We straight. You good.
That's black girl lingo for watch your back. Okay, whatever.
And even when you're trying to communicate to someone what's wrong with you, if you're not communicating the correct thing, you can't address the right thing. In my sessions when I'm talking to people about fair fighting, I typically put like this target on the board, and usually I say the reason why you walk away. I ask them, have you ever walked away from a conversation and was like, how the hell did we get on this conversation? What in the world just happened? That's because you did not hit the target.
I say it in the conversation. What are you talking about?
I can see you saying that too.
Because y'all know, like, once my brain has exerted a certain level of energy, I'm like, this shouldn't be this hard. What are you talking about? Say that again. Like,
Let's bring it back.
I may not say it as harsh as I just said it, because you know, you got to read your audience. But they gonna get something to the effect of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you though.
Yeah, I'll throw that. I'm confused. I would throw that out real quick. I'm confused. What is going on right now?
Yeah. See, my thing will be, what are we doing?
Y'all can tell we got the same type of communication.
Like, what are we doing?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, because no.
It'd be too much. But you know, something that goes with that is also don't pile on too many problems at one time.
Yes.
You can't have one session and solve all your problems.
Yes.
You're going to be angry for real and hungry probably by the end of it.
Yes.
But I think that goes back to you saying you missed the target. Because then, and you know, we all probably do this when we talk to couples, but like, if you start bringing in all these extra arguments, you're never going to solve any of these problems.
Yeah.
So then you're still going to feel, if you're knowing what you actually feel, you're still going to feel all of those things, but now you're going to feel them tenfold because stuff that you weren't talking about and worried about and thinking about has now been brought from the back to the front.
And then what you need, what just happened does not get addressed because you are now talking about the stuff that from the past.
From 1972.
Exactly.
Why didn't you tell me that in 1972? It's 2020. Like, don't bring that up now. Not in this session on this new topic. And something I see in my clients also is that when, say, one person is trying to be healthy in their fighting style, and the other person is like, but you do this. First of all, we're not talking about that right now. Let's solve what I just said. And then once we solve this, we can go to yours. If we need to do 2 in this one session, we can do that. But we're not going to tit for tat it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, man, that tit for tat thing is, I mean, it'll derail a conversation immediately. Because then it's almost like you're trying to one up each other on, well, my hurt is bigger than your hurt. But you hurt me too. But you hurt me too. But you hurt me. And then it just keeps escalating till, again, you're not even talking about the thing that you originally were talking about.
You're just trying to avoid an accusation now. And one of the things that I tell my significant other when we have disagreements, if I bring something to you, that's not the time for you to tell me, accuse me of something. Like, you either one, tell me when I do it and we can address it then, or wait till the next day. And then tell me, hey, you remember I need to talk to you about something. Because then it feels like you're dismissing my thoughts, and it feels like you're dismissing my feelings at that time, because I'm bringing something that I've been offended by.
I mean, it is a dismissal. It may not be the intent. We talked about this, intent and impact. There's 2 different things. And if I'm bringing something to you, I need us to acknowledge it and work through it. Now, I'm totally okay for constructive criticism and feedback. Bring it on back, because we got to give and get. But you can't just be like, well, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's what we doing. I'm telling you, I don't do well in these situations, because I'm like, oh, so you don't hear nothing I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that will make me shut down when I feel like you're dismissing me, because one, like, I am a communicator. Like, I'm not gonna hold nothing in. Nope. If I feel it, if I, this, I don't like it. This makes me uncomfortable. This hurts my feelings. I feel overwhelmed. He will tell you, you don't hold on to nothing. I'm gonna know everything. He said, I knew everything in the beginning. I knew you wanted to be married, so if I didn't want to, so he knew everything.
As he should.
Of course, I agree. One thing I tell my significant other is, I can't deal with your emotions for you. When I'm talking about what I'm feeling, and then, if he starts to say, well, I said, well, but I can't deal with your feelings about me for you. You have to deal with that.
We need to have a session on that one.
Yeah, we really do.
Because that's a hard one.
And that's a long discussion, because people don't know how to not do that.
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah.
Communication is, one of the therapists in our office, he said something to me that I was like, I never thought of it that way. He said, life is simple but hard, and the easy stuff is complicated. And I was like, whatever do you mean? And he was and communication was one of the examples that he gave. And he said, it's easy to just communicate. It's hard to do it in a way that is healthy. He said communication is simple. All you have to do is do it. It's complicated because we take the easy road and just argue and yell and scream versus taking the hard way, which would be expressing your emotions in a healthy way and, being more accurate on what it is that you feel, sitting in that feeling, all of that stuff. It's a simple thing to do, but it's actually hard. But arguing is easy, but it makes the situation complicated.
Well, that's when you do that, you're being soft. Allegedly. People don't want to go there. They like, I ain't about that soft stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, well, that's dumb. I say it in my head, not out loud, because then that would be counterproductive to the conversation too. But in my head, I'm just like, so you don't really want to go there. You don't really want to have an intimate relationship with whoever you dealing with. You just want it to be surface level. And you can say all day long that you want it to be this deep, meaningful thing, but you really don't, because when it's uncomfortable, you run.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are uncomfortable with vulnerability. Because, when you become vulnerable with people or with someone, that you become transparent. And we're so afraid of people using us against ourselves when we argue, when we have conversations and, things of that nature, that being vulnerable is something that it's like a bear. You know, you can't. You're afraid that people are so afraid of it.
Yeah. All chains ain't physical.
Wow.
A lot of them are mental.
So very much so.
You will keep yourself in bondage. You know, when you have a truly intimate relationship, it's actually freeing.
Oh yeah.
You just be soaring. You be out here like, yes, Lord. The wind beneath my wings, you know.
My hair is blowing in the air.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with both of you ladies.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's why it's great to have ground rules for establishing how you're going to communicate. And I don't think a lot of couples do this, or even just friendships or family relationships. I don't think we do this where we talk about how to set up rules for disagreeing or having difficult conversations.
Yeah.
You know, something that I try to teach my clients is the timeout and defining what that is, because it's inevitable for you to get upset at some point with your partner. You know, it's just the nature of being a human being. But if you're going to say, well, I don't want to talk about this right now, like, you need to give them some sort of time frame.
Yep.
You can't say, I just want to talk about it later, because my definition of later could be 30 minutes, but your definition of later is 2 days from now. And now I'm over here boiling because I thought we was going to talk about this later, but you in your mind are thinking, well, yeah, like on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same way with my clients. I make them implement a time frame. So if you having a timeout, that's like 5-10 minutes. But if you having a break, that means 30 minutes to like 24 hours or whatever, because it has to be resolved. We're not just going to keep stewing and then you have another problem added on to that later. It's a cyclical thing, and we're not trying to, you know, do that.
So if you're taking notes, this would be another thing to kind of add to your list on how to fight fair with a person, is setting ground rules for having a cooling off period, a time frame where you can go get yourself together, you know, emotionally, sit in your emotion. Again, first identify and know what it is that you're feeling, then come back, talk to that person. But so the thing that I talk with my couples or about specifically is, if you call for the timeout, you're the person that needs to go back to the partner.
Exactly.
Yes.
Don't make them come to you, because then that suggests to them that it's not important. So you returning back to them because you initiated the timeout, you know, shows them that you still care about the conversation and it's important and you want to resolve it. So don't make them chase you.
And know what kind of communicator you are. And what I mean by that is, so you all can listen to this segment or a book, I guess, called Crucial Conversations from YouTube. And two of the styles of communication that they talk about is an aggressive style and a silent person. And so if you have an aggressive style communicator and a person that goes silent, what happens is, as the aggressive communicator is talking and they trying to get you to talk and they telling you and they're doing their thing, and then the person goes silent, the person that's the aggressor then begins to feel like, okay, you don't want to talk to me. It's my, you know, they have this internal dialogue, negative internal dialogue. So I usually tell my clients that are the silent person, let them know, hey, I need a moment. And like Dr. Wall and Dr. Strickland has already said, that moment may be an hour from now or 2 days from now, but the silent person definitely needs to address the fact that they are aware that they're silent, and they're silent for a reason, because I need some time.
Absolutely.
And I think that also has to do with processing ability, because a lot of times people don't understand that. So your ability to think on your feet and think quickly may be different than the person that you're arguing with. So you may have to give them time. Like, I'm a quick processor. Like, stuff be like, doo-doo-doo, and I'm done. However, I have someone who's close to me. She need a week or so sometimes, you know, like her processing is significantly slower, and that's not a bad or a good thing. It's just, it is what it is. And so you have to know the person that you're dealing with so that you can give some type of in between of both of y'all's styles or processing styles.
Absolutely.
And I've used that one with my clients too, because if you have different speed and processing. Like you're one person is still thinking and the other person has gone on to like the next topic or like the next.
Yeah, I've done that before too when I've had couples that have, you have a quick processor and someone that's a little bit slower. I usually say, okay, while you've done, okay, this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I said, the person you're talking to is still on A. And you've already jumped to G. And now you're going to get frustrated because you have to repeat yourself and go back to A. When you didn't double check with them to clarify, to make sure that they understood what you meant, that whether they had a response to what you said, and what they felt about what you said. So you've already moved on 6-7 letters ahead of them, and they still at the beginning. You have to slow down and check with the person. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to jump all the way into their style. Like you said, like Dr. Wall was saying, have a balance of that. But you do have to acknowledge that this person is different than you. Their experiences are different, and the way they're going to see the world and process the world is going to be different than yours.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I have my clients to practice, like speaking and paraphrasing, and paraphrasing and summarizing what they heard the other person say. And we can't move on until they say it, till they say what they heard. Now, whether or not they process it and it's sitting, I have to give them so give her a moment. She's not a quick, or he's not a quick processor. Yeah. So give them a moment, Yeah. And try not to generalize, avoid words like you never cook, you never clean up, you always say absolutes. That. Yes.
Yeah. That's a way for me to definitely get me heated. To say that I always do something or I never do something, because I live in the land of maybe. Like, I can see where you're going with that. I definitely am I can see the other side type of person. So I hate when someone tells me like, well, you always insert whatever it is. And it's like, well, no, that's not true. Like statistically, that's not possible. My brain tries to go real analytical. Statistically, that's not possible for me to do it every time.
So what you telling me?
So you're lying.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like any of that. That's why I have a really smart aleck mouth when I'm backed into a corner. I've realized that about myself because I come from a long line of talkers. It's an expletive in front of that. Talkers. And you really have to watch how you say stuff to me because it just come out my mouth.
Like, oops, sorry. Didn't mean that.
Yeah, see, that's when I feel like I'm coming out this corner, whether I'm gonna kick, scream, fight, punch, words will be something. I'm coming out. I'm not staying in the corner.
We're gonna get you a shirt to say nobody put baby in the corner.
Exactly. Because that's exactly when my aggression come out right then.
So what would you like? So what I was thinking about as a next thing or list for how to fight fair is having a place to argue. So one thing I had this couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I had this couple that, just kind of argued everywhere in their home. And they were starting to have sexual issues, of course. And one thing that I was like, do you guys argue when y'all get in the bed? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, why are y'all arguing in the bed? Like, that should be your place of sanctuary. Your bedroom is like the safe space. Keep your arguments in rooms that are quote unquote common areas, your living room or the kitchen table or dining room if you have one, and save that space so that it's only reserved for, happy, joyous times. So I would say to kind of add to our list is if you're going to have a difficult discussion with somebody, keep it in a place that's not going to be tied to specifically to intimacy.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I've had couples, and because I'm the sex therapist, I've had couples who end up having their arguments about sex. And so I know this is extreme, y'all, but I do extreme things in my therapy sessions. I made this particular couple that's standing out in my head, I made them argue about their sex life with no clothes on. So imagine how you gonna argue naked. You figure out a lot. You got some embarrassment in some areas, so you just not gonna do it that way. You gonna have a nice, calm conversation. The stuff is swinging and looking at you.
I just want you to clear it up. You didn't have them to do that in your office, did you?
No, because I don't want to see that.
I just wanted you to
I
clarify.
don't need no bucket naked on the couch.
Because we got some interns out there who would have been like, wait a minute, were they in the office?
No, they'd be like, where they do that kind of therapy
I want to go to that office.
Okay. Lies. You're going to be in there by yourself.
Like,
in the privacy of their home, that's where they did that. Y'all, sex therapy does not mean that I see my clients in sexual situations at all. No.
I just wanted you to clarify that because we know you didn't, but hey, interns don't know.
You just never know out here in these streets.
Yeah.
But I like that idea because I was going to add to both of you. I think it's a good practice to schedule an argument because
like a business meeting.
Yeah, there you go. I ain't even got to say nothing else.
Because relationships are like a business.
Yes.
We talked about negotiations last time. So it's okay to have a business meeting about conflict, and then that person, especially the slow processor, can get prepared, have their little notes together. You have your little notes together, and y'all just check them off and bullet point them. Sometimes that's easier because you take the emotion out of it and you can resolve it, and then you can put the emotion back in and feel it.
Absolutely. Or you can write it down and switch your
that's
list.
True.
So the other person can read the opposite list.
If y'all on that level.
Yes. you gotta, that's a thing you have to work up to because you have to be.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM.
Able to accept what you read.
So you put this. It reminded me of that episode on the Cosby Show where she was like, Cliff, you write your list, I'm gonna write my list. And Cliff had like one item, and then she was steady writing, and he was like, well, I'm gonna add some to my list too. Like,
that's why you have to write the list separately.
Yes.
It's separate spaces.
Yes. That's funny.
When I have my couples do the his needs, her needs list, I say, don't do them together. Don't try to make your list match their list, or you're comparing your list to theirs. Like, oh, well, they put sexual fulfillment at number 4. Okay.
Because that's where it goes on their list.
Right. Or, oh, wait, I didn't realize that financial support was going to be number 1 for them. Like, do you, boo, on your own so that you don't feel pressure from one another to fit what you think your partner wants. This is about you knowing what you want and expressing it in a much healthier way.
Yeah, because it's not about either of you winning the argument. It's about you all coming up with a mutually satisfying solution to whatever the issue may be.
AKA negotiate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I tell my clients all the time, and I think I said this towards the beginning of the podcast sessions. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be healthy? Because being right ain't always a good thing, because sometimes you're not right. You're only right in your head because it's what's comfortable to you, or you feel like your way is the best way to do stuff. No, your way is best for you. It may not be best for your partner or for the situation that you're in, or if it's your friend or whatever. You have to figure out your best, but you also have to figure out what's best for the relationship that you're fostering.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hence, come up with solutions together.
and
Yes.
execute them. I tell
Action
my
steps.
clients all the time, it don't matter if you come up with a solution if you don't execute it. Because a problem without a solution and not executed is just complaining.
I mean, you definitely can repeat that.
A problem without a solution that is executed is just complaining. So you got to do the work. Nothing will happen. You will continue to be on that same hamster wheel if you don't work.
Yes.
And what I would add to that is, like, don't camouflage what you're feeling. You know, don't try to, I'm going to go with the lesser of my evils. Like, no, bring the big guns out.
Yeah.
Say, because the thing is, it's okay for you to have multiple feelings. So say all of them.
And it's okay for your partner to be uncomfortable and to have hurt feelings because they are hearing truths that no one wants to hear about themselves. So if they feel good about it, then you might want to run because you probably got you a little malignant narcissist. Run away. We ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
So it's totally okay. I have a couple who they just shelter each other all the time. So it's always this one step forward, two steps back thing going on in their sessions. And I'm just like, say what you need to say. It's a whole song about it. I ain't gonna sing it right now, but you gotta say it so that they know where you're coming from. They understand your point of view. And it's not just like what we were saying in the last session. It just came out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then make sure as you're doing that, make sure you invite the other person's point of view. Both of you have a point of view. Both of you should be able to address your point of view without fear that, you know, if I say this, it's going to hurt his feelings or it's going to hurt her feelings. She's going to be crying. So, okay. This is one thing that I need to say to our male interns. Please work on that thing of y'all being fearful of women's tears. You have got to learn how to accept our tears. Just because we cry, it does not mean that we can't handle what you said, what you need to say, the phrase statement that you just made. It just means that we had a feeling and it's coming out through our emotion, our tears.
Mm-hmm.
it's just salt water.
Y'all should see her face. She looked just like her mama when she said it.
I'm just being serious. Like, it's just salt water. Like, and I'm saying it from the place of, y'all know I'll cry in a heartbeat, but I'm still going on about my business because it's just an expression of emotions. If you make it a problem that it is expressed that way, then it's also going to be a problem for you and you're going to hold back your tears. No, you shouldn't just be walking around crying every 5 seconds because then that's a little odd. And that tells me that your emotions are controlling you.
Yeah.
But it's an expression. Stop living in this weird society where people have to walk around like androids or something.
And we have to be comfortable with our tears in order to be able to be comfortable with someone else's tears. So if you're not even comfortable crying, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Stop it. Just stop it. That's not healthy.
That's not being a man. And I've heard that saying so many times. I'm like, if being a man is deduced to your tear ducts, something is wrong with your manhood.
Very much so. I would agree.
You need to work on that.
But don't use your tears to manipulate.
No.
Because you're losing, and I hate to even say it, but if your point is not being made or you feel like, because we do feel like there's a win-lose when we argue with somebody. So if your mind is telling you, I'm losing this argument, don't turn on the waterworks in an effort to detract from what that person is saying and what they're feeling in order for them to start dealing with you.
Yeah.
But also don't let them either.
Yeah.
Just
hold them accountable.
Yes.
Something I say in session is, what's causing you to cry right now?
Me too.
And you can definitely say that people outside of therapeutic sessions, you can say that to your partner or your friend. What's causing you to cry right now? Because you don't know. Don't assume because of X, Y, and Z, this is what. No. What's making you cry right now? And then they can tell you because they need to hold space for themselves in that moment.
Yep.
and own what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's, oh, this this just validates something that someone else told me a long time ago. Not that needs to be something that makes the other person feel guilty, but that means you're owning your own stuff.
Yeah.
So don't, I definitely agree with Dr. Strickland. Do not use it as a way to manipulate, but use it as a way for healing, and hold yourself accountable and being responsible for your own emotions and your own expression of those emotions.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. We making some valid points today.
Yeah. Something else that I find very important is the art of being able to have reflective listening and using I statements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because for all y'all who don't know, reflective listening is kind of like this back and forth parroting of what was said, and then you paraphrase it, and then they can confirm or not confirm that what you paraphrase is what they said, so that you can get the information that you need to get. Because a lot of time it's like the telephone game. The reception is not great.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make sure what the person is saying is what you have interpreted, and then you can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But another big part of that is the I statement. So most of the times when people argue, it's all about you did this to me, you did that, you did this. And instead, it needs to be accountability put on yourself. I feel like this because this happened. Or I think, like, it needs to, you can't talk about how someone else affected you from their perspective. You have to talk about it from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And we, as in the United States, because that's where we live, we don't know how to do that.
Because the famous one is, you made me angry.
Mm-hmm.
No, you made yourself angry.
It's like, no, they influenced you. Mm-hmm. A set of circumstances influenced you to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They did not jump in your body and say, get angry.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, like, a prime example of I statement would be, let me think of something.
I feel angry when you
cut me off or something.
Yeah.
It's speaking from your perspective and giving the specific event that happened. It is not this long bullet statement where you've done listed every single thing that they've ever done to you that caused you to be angry. It's like just one sentence.
And I think, to kind of piggyback on what both you ladies are saying, is making sure that when you say I feel, a feeling comes after that word. Because in American society, we tend to do, I feel like you got a problem with me. Like, first of all, that's not a feeling.
I feel like you got something to say.
Yeah, like we say I feel.
No, you thought that, friend. You thought that.
Yes. So when you say I feel, again, do your Googles and get you a feeling sheet. Because we usually say I feel like, and then insert some sort of action or thought process after that, versus, and then we never actually say the feeling.
Never, because there's no feeling in there. You're already numb. It's so important that you take a moment and collect your thoughts before you just start saying stuff. Because a lot of times we're jumbled up, discombobulated, whatever word you want to use, and you just spewing all of that on your friend or your partner, your family member. And imagine how that's feeling. They trying to catch all your stuff and still defend themselves. It's too much.
Yeah.
And then we expect for people to be able to respond to that. But you can
the way we want them
right. To. And I don't know how to respond to that, because you just told me a thought and you said I feel. I'm confused.
They get that blank stare from me. Bat these big eyes.
Blink, blink.
Go on.
Blink.
Go on. What else were you saying? Like, I'm not even gonna get into the ring on certain things. I'm like, if I have somebody that I'm talking to and that's where they're going, I'm automatically like, okay, let me just let them talk, because this is obviously a ranting session. This is not a conversation. They're not trying to solve anything. And when they get to the end, I'm going to be like, do you feel better?
Yeah.
Okay, now do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. That would be part of the rules. Don't monologue, dialogue.
I can't remember everything you said when you tell me this monologue. Like, how am I supposed to respond to that?
They want you to get your notebook out and be a therapist. And it's not happening.
Then you get your credit card out and get ready to pay me.
Okay.
Swipe.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I'm a fan of the I statement
Yeah.
when used in its proper
Properly.
form.
Because you can still be accusatory. I feel like you did. Like, no. Come back.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an I statement.
And I still got mad aggressiveness on it.
Who you talking to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tone. Watch your tone.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked in the maybe 2 sessions ago about communication types,
Mm-hmm.
Tone, facial expressions, body language, all of that is important when you're communicating with another person. If you're rolling your eyes at them, or if you got your arms crossed and folded, or you huffing and puffing, or waving your hands around, all of that stuff matters in your message that you're trying to communicate. You could be saying, my classic phrase is I'm fine when I'm trying to teach people on how they're communicating and what you look like. Because it's a complete package. What you say and what you do all go together. So if you're saying that you're good, but you're over there and you just keep, obviously something is bothering you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not your person's job to pull it out.
Because you sound like you about to huff and puff and blow the house down.
Okay.
And the thing is, you may get your words correct, or right, and your tone right, but then you need to tell your face and your body.
Because the face don't lie.
Mm-mm.
It's hard. Well, at least for me.
Mine either. Y'all know in session, I can typically hold it together, but in real life, no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have that restraint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
don't
all
know.
of it has to go together.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and another part to piggyback on that is when you are doing all that, express your feelings with your words.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because you acted it out don't mean I know that's what you're meaning. Because what you do for that don't mean that's what I do for that. So you need to make sure you use your words. And I say this all the time in session. They be looking at me like I'm their mama or something. Use your words. Complete sentences, please.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm over here rolling my eyes, why not just say, I'm mad frustrated right now, and then say why I'm frustrated? Like, you are a whole adult.
Yeah.
If kids can do this, adults can do this. You need to let your pride and your ego get out of the way, and then own your stuff. Sit in your truth. Don't shy away from it once you put it out there on the table.
Yes.
And know what your goals are when you're getting ready to have these conversations. Because, like, if you just come and talk and we don't know where we're going with this, like, I'm not listening already.
Again, I'm going to say again, a problem without a solution to be executed is a complaint. So I agree with both ladies. Know where you're going. Y'all just can't be walking on the yellow brick road and y'all just like
The Wiz version.
okay.
He's on down.
Like y'all just don't know where you going. You just walking like, okay, we just gonna argue until the cows come home, and then before you know it, you've been having this conversation for 5 hours
Or days.
and you're nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And
You're not even where you started. Like you're literally
missing the target.
Yes.
You just arguing for the sake of arguing. And when I see people like that, I'm like, oh, you just wanted to transfer what you was feeling onto your person. That's really what that was. No, you eat that. You own that. And whoever that person is, you got to make sure you hold your boundary where it needs to be and don't receive the stuff that they trying to dish onto you.
And remember, like, if this is a person that is close to you, that intimate partner, a best friend, or family member, you don't have to talk about everything in one day or hour or like, this may not be something that can be resolved in that time, like that short amount of time. And so stop. Don't do that.
What I would add on to what you said, Dr. Jones, is it something that even needs to be talked about? Because not everything that's in your head or every problem that arises is discussion worthy. No. Sometimes you really just need to figure it out and figure a way to keep moving on, because in the grand scheme, is that worth having a huge, well, we need to sit down and have this discussion about this thing. I have my bullet points and I'm ready to go.
You know, sometimes it's your problem.
Right.
It's not our problem. It's your problem.
That's what I was just, because like, if she done got frustrated, y'all.
I'm sorry. I had a flashback.
Because it's just like that thing of when you're speaking to someone and they say something that validates something that resonated with you from childhood. That's not their problem. You got to deal with that.
Nope.
You have to heal. That's your scar.
Yep.
Yeah. Like a prime example of that from my own life. The guy, y'all know him, who shall remain nameless. He, we were having that argument and he was like, oh, you just think you better than everybody. And I was like, first of all, in my head, if you really knew me, you would know that's not anywhere where my mind ever goes. But it was a trigger that I had to catch because growing up, because I was so quiet and nerdy and like to myself, like the kids in my neighborhood used to call me Snob from the hood because I wouldn't go outside and play with them. I'm like, I'm reading a book. Like I'm talking to make believe people. Like I got to do this, but it was never because I was a snob for real, but it was because I was different than them. So I can't take on childhood trauma from verbal bullying and then attach that to some dude that I'm talking to 30 years later. Like that's not fair to him. That's not fair to me.
Yeah.
That makes absolutely sense. Again, as we've said before, own your stuff
and sit in it. Don't absorb it. Sit in it.
Yeah. What I would add kind of that we haven't really talked about is for our interns out there that have children or young children, is managing your disagreements or discussions in front of them. You know, it's okay for children to see that you disagree. I mean, it's actually healthy for them to see that you disagree. What is not healthy for them to see is screaming, arguing, throwing things, name calling, you know, all of that kind of character assassinations, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Because remember, you teach your children how to manage their feelings.
Yeah. And have relationships.
Yeah, you are the first teacher. So that's why when we had that session a while back when we was giggling real hard, don't come in no session telling me I need to help your child change when you the one taught your child everything they know. So you need to make sure that you are giving them a healthy guideline and a healthy map of how to, you know, go through life, you know, with relationships, with communication, with boundaries, because you'd be surprised how many kids don't know healthy boundaries.
Well, that's because a lot, you know, the one thing that I have gathered since I've been a therapist is that there are so many, I want to say everybody on the entire world, need to have a therapist.
Yes.
Y'all know I done said
everybody
as soon as you come out your mama, you need to have a therapist assigned to you. Just like you get that pediatrician, you need a therapist.
Yes, because the children are not, especially with the generations we have now, the generations that we have now, because so many of our parents and our parents are emotionally unintelligent. Because this
you don't
talk
know about nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This identification of your feelings thing and emotion, this is new.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think that, you know, the baby boomers were raised by the silent generation. So the word feelings is very foreign to those, you know, unfortunately to many in that generation, both of those actually.
And don't be in a minority community.
Yeah.
Because, you know, our rights came significantly later. So it was for real no place for emotion.
Yeah.
You dry them tears up and you go back out there another day because you got to, you ain't got no choice. Yeah.
But if you do have an explosive argument in front of your child, please make sure that you resolve that in front of your child.
Yes.
Please.
It needs to be at the same intensity, not like harmful.
Right.
But you exploded, so you need to show them that it is okay to come back and fix that. And you need to apologize to whoever you were talking to, as well as to the people who saw it.
Yes.
You know, I can't, and this is something we definitely need to talk about, is parents not being willing to apologize to their kids when they did wrong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And parents who think that their children don't have emotions.
Yeah.
You think you can just belittle, condescend, target, attack, you know, your kids, and they not supposed to feel. You stop crying. Don't be disrespecting me. You just disrespected them.
Yeah.
And I'm not for disrespect. I was raised
At
right.
all.
Yeah.
but the thing is, you sitting up here cussing and fussing and all of that with them just because they played a game console before they did their homework. What? How you think they gonna respond?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and you giving them too much responsibility. Because my god babies that I've taken care of, no, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. I will take every electronic device in this house, lock it up, and throw the key somewhere, and y'all won't have nothing. Because if you don't have the responsibility within you, the maturity within you, okay, I am the parental figure. I have to advise you on how to handle that. So you're not at an age yet. I don't care how old you are. I still have my 17-year-old at home. I ain't got no babies of my own yet, but you know, I've taken care of other people's children that I love dearly, and he know, don't let me get no bad phone call, because I will go get, you know, them little bitty locks. I will put it in the prong of the plug. I don't even lock it up no more. Click, click. And the key is here with me in Arlington. So I don't play that. You know, you have to show them the way, and it don't always have to be this yelling and screaming. And like, I can't stress this enough, because I was a sensitive kid. I'm still a sensitive adult. You will break their spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a long road as someone who had to battle through childhood depression and not being okay with themselves. That's not something I wish on no kids.
Right.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Parents, please understand that the way you communicate, interact, and listen and observe and all of those things. Problem solve. Your children are the most observant people on earth.
Yes. Great observers, poor interpreters.
Yes.
Because they hear everything.
and they see everything. They know what mood is getting ready to be in the house by the way you put your key in the keyhole to the door. They already know. I'm going to my room. Oh, okay. I might be able to ask for $5 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you
Like I was go ask her.
Like I was saying, if you got sensitive kids. And what I realized is that pretty much all the people on my maternal side, because that's the side that I grew up in, are highly emotionally intelligent, but they just don't deal with their emotions. So imagine that. You got all these people shutting their emotions off and running around, you know, hurting people. Like, it's a cycle that definitely that's one of my family's generational curses that I've been actively working on my whole adult life to try to cut off, because I'm like, I'm not passing that on to my kids.
Yeah.
What do y'all feel out? Because I want to ask a question, because I know we haven't done that in the last couple of sessions. What do y'all feel is y'all's issue when y'all have fair fighting? What do y'all struggle
Hold on,
with?
interns. Let me think.
I think one of my issues is I probably can do the tit for tat.
Okay.
And not always be present in mind to hear what the other person is saying.
Okay.
And not that I believe in horoscopes.
A lot.
Right. But if you do believe in horoscopes, I'm an Aries and I'm definitely a fire sign. So I can, and I've said this in previous sessions, like it takes a lot for me to get there. But once I do, it's hard to bring me back. So now I'm like, and I'm the person that will bring up stuff from like 3 years ago. And now we're not even, discussing the thing that originally was brought up. So if I had to say that those were my two defaults, or two faults rather, when it comes to fair fighting, that'd probably be my two biggest.
Okay.
I would have to say the remaining calm thing.
You don't say.
And I would have to say, so because I'm very transparent, I can sometimes start a conversation at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not one of those people to hold it in. I'm just like, no. You getting ready to go to the bathroom? Well, I'm sitting in front of the door. No, no, I'm kidding. I don't do that. I don't do that. But so I think I would have to say my two would have to be remaining calm and the wrong time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If I had to add anything, oh man, it sounds. Being a therapist is like, damn, I'm saying, oh, excuse me. Sorry, Mom. I'm like, man, this is really revealing about ourselves. But I think if I had to, but we are also human, even though we're therapists. So let's go ahead and put that out there. Mm-hmm. And we will say this many times in the future that yes, we are therapists and we understand the techniques, but please don't forget that we are human first.
Agreed.
So I would say if I had to add something to a list for myself, it would be that I'm sometimes too honest. Like I will tell you sometimes so honest to the point that after I say it and it leaves in my mouth, I'm like, ooh, that was hurtful. Mm-hmm. Like even if I don't say it in a hurtful way, but the sheer honesty of what I said, mm-hmm. Sometimes can be taken in a way that I didn't mean it to come out.
Okay. I can definitely say that's me too.
Gotcha. Like being a little too honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, not everything needs to be said.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that one for myself. But I think the ones that kind of stand out for me is I struggle sometimes with not having degrading language. And I'm not going to cuss you out. I'm not going to do nothing, but this intelligence that come up out of my mouth, I will annihilate you and you won't even know I annihilated you. Like I have to really work on my tongue and not do that and remember, okay, we're on the same side. I don't need to like slice you up into little pieces and then put salt in your wounds. That's not good. Mm-hmm. And then I would say the other one would be stonewalling, because y'all know I have to constantly work on not shutting down, because it's like what we talked about previously, minimizing my feelings. Mm-hmm. And so I have to constantly be like, okay, you keep talking. It don't matter if you are not feeling the greatest at what they saying, or maybe they are mishandling you, but you the only person here to advocate for yourself. So you have to continue to show up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I that's good points.
Got to work on that 0 to 60.
Oh, yes. Mine is 0 to right now.
Okay. And I would say, I don't know if this is necessarily a fair fighting thing, but definitely something to not. I'm a definitely in my head person. You know, I just kind of think about stuff and I think, and then sometimes I can trigger myself.
You having them arguments with yourself?
You spewing on yourself.
Yeah. You know, I wasn't in a bad mood and I wasn't angry, but then like I saw like something on TV and I remember that happened, you know, like 5 years ago. And then I start thinking about that thing that happened 5 years ago. And now I want to let you know that I'm thinking about that thing that happened 5 years ago. And now we arguing about that thing that happened 5 years ago. And you looking at me like, what the bleep-de bleep is wrong with you?
You gotta watch yourself, people. You do have to take captive your thoughts, because you done had a whole 2, 3, 4 more hour long argument with somebody, and the argument been over. I should have said this and talk about this.
It's just like that meme that was like, have you ever had an argument and then say some things and you think about it later on and be like, you want to argue again?
Yes. For sure. Yeah. All right. Any other things, ladies, that you think we should add to our How to Fight Fair list?
I think
I think we gave them a good
well-rounded combo.
Yeah.
If I had to say one extra one real quick, I don't think this is really anything for us to elaborate on because it seems pretty self-explanatory, is don't use violence.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Don't argue while you're drinking or after you've been drinking, and don't use violence.
Any substance.
Yes, substance.
Whether it's a downer or upper.
True.
Don't do it.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to end this off as we normally do with our quote.
Our quote from this week comes from Max Lucado. It reads, "Conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional."
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at The Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.